robbed at gunpoint. Yep, it happens. And before I even get started, a major rule or whatever you want to call it, don't do business with people that you don't know. Especially don't do business with two parties that you don't know. Okay? So, now that I kind of get that out of the way, um, this is strictly business. Thank you for coming to my channel. If it's your first time, then I would like to welcome you. And if you're returning, then you know the kind of stories that I tell. They're not the greatest. They don't make me look the greatest, but the truth is the truth, and it is what it is. So that's what you're gonna get with me. Okay? There's no clickbait. There's no fucking lies or whatever. I can back everything up. So just remember that. Okay? So this took place in about 2014. Okay? So I always because I migrated around so many areas of the South Bay. I knew a lot of people. So knowing a lot of people, there's people that want to sell stuff and there's people that want to buy stuff. And I couldn't, if I had $1 for every time I was in the middle of that, I would be a fucking quadrillionaire. Like, literally. It's just you can call me a middleman, you can call me, I don't know what the fuck, but I just figured, if somebody has something and somebody wants it, why not connect them, why not put money into someone's pocket and then the other person gets what they wanted, you know? So I had been doing that since fucking middle school, since the 7th grade. Okay? And back in the day, the craziest part is everybody expects something these days. Whether it's a phone number, oh, what do I get out of it? Blah, blah, blah. I have a suspicion that, my name was able to stay so good because I didn't give a shit about that. I would just hey, you have his number, boom, 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 boom. I didn't really, if they wanted to kick me down something, then hey, sure. But I'm not requesting it or anything like that. So all of this comes to a head where Instagram, Instagram, and I'm sure situations on Instagram that have not gone great. I know I do. I know I've seen people fucking get beat up and whatever for trying to sell fake shit and all this stuff, whatever. So, like, me at the time, I just, I had the pharmacy game, on lock. Anything that anybody needed, I could get it. My doctor was kind of senile. He was old, and his catchphrase was, "What else?" So I need my pain medicine. Boom. What else? I need my anxiety medicine. What else? I need my cough medicine. What else? It was just obviously I was taking advantage of him. I specifically had the thought of, I'm going to ride this shit till the wheels fall off, which I did. And that doctor ended up retiring right when I was out of town. The only time I was out of town on the East Coast, I come back home to a voicemail saying that he retired and I was getting put to a new doctor. So, coincidence? Maybe not. Whatever. So, anyways, Instagram, for the most part, back in the day, not everybody was like this or whatever, but me, I was always posting pictures of fucking lean, pills, weed, glass, like anything that you could imagine. It got to the point where I was actually sponsored for sipping lean. I wish I still had the cups. I know I probably have some stickers around here somewhere. It's in my old footage and I'll find a picture of it, but it was called Beers Are for Bums. And like they would send me free cups, stickers. Like it wasn't like, oh my god, they're paying me or something like that, but like, it was cool to get some like custom like double cups and styrofoam cups. And they had like little things that said "Get Up, Craig" and stuff like that, and like that was tied into the like, the Friday series and shit like that. So like, you could like I mean, I was getting hit up by like the Stink Team. Like I can specifically remember like, cause this like they're all connected. Like they're all connected with the Beers Are for Bum guys or whatever. They wanted me to come out to a music video out in like Barstow or something, and that fool Ralphie the Plug, he was hitting me up all the fucking time, all the time. He was hitting me up for drink, like just because I was posting it all the time, like, and that's just because I had it like that, and just like I never sold anything to him because I wanted that shit, and I was able to make a good amount of money off of it, like not selling it to fucking rappers and shit, selling it to regular ass people that are down to pay like an arm and a leg, I was with that. So someone that I was friends with on Instagram, they sent me like a DM and they said, "Hey, like, I'm coming to Cali." This guy was from Seattle. He was from like the Seattle area, Seattle, Washington. I'm pretty sure that's the city and state, but yeah, he was from Seattle and he was coming just to like, I don't know, vacation, whatever it is. I don't know. He had a really nice car, so he's like talking to me and he's telling me like, yo, like I'm trying to get a pint, like if you can find one for me while I'm out there, I'll hook you up, like I'll smoke you out, and like, we'll pour up, blah 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 blah, and like, I was cool with that because like all I had to do was call a couple people, So where it goes awry is a person that I had been dealing with that like was legitimate. I mean, I don't want to. Calling him legitimate is a little much of a stretch, but like there were a couple of times where he came through that it was like real, like it was legitimate, like he was plugged in that way through like his family or some shit like that, whatever. So like I call him and he's like, "Oh yeah, 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 I got you. Like I got a pint of high tech. It's already sealed and everything. Like it's just like it's the pint bottle and it hasn't even been cracked or open." And I was like, "For sure, like cool." And this was back before a pint costed fucking like $1,000 or like $2,000 or some shit. I want to say it was like $500. That's what the plug. So basically, this guy that I knew passed along a number to someone who supposedly had the drink. So he gives me that guy's number, and I start talking to him, um, and I try to get it all as set up as I possibly can, like I've done a million fucking times. And this guy, like, remember, I haven't met this guy a day. I don't know him from a can of paint. Like, literally, I've never met him before. He was just in my area, and like, I had him. I don't think I had a car at the time or something. I don't remember, but I just remember he picked me up, and we went to this little spot, and we were kind of just trying to like wait it out. Like, we are just waiting it out, and we smoked a couple of blunts, whatever. Can't remember the dude's name. Can't remember fucking anything about him. I want to say he was like maybe like of Middle Eastern descent, like, but not really, like kind of whitewashed, if you will. Um, so like we're in his car and we're smoking, and then finally like I get the call, and the call is like, yo, blah 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 blah. Like, I'm not even gonna use this guy's name because he's such a fucking little piece of shit. So this fool like tells me and the guy that I was with to go down the street to right by where this bank is. And it's on PCH, and it's like there's this bank, but like behind it there's like neighborhoods and shit like that. Like you can easily get like from a neighborhood like into like there's like little areas, little cuts that you can take that will take you into the parking lot. It's a big ass parking lot. There's like a Smart and Final, a Chase, a couple restaurants. Like it's a big, everywhere that you have to park because it's on such busy streets is in the back. So we go and we park in the back. And, obviously I make sure that the guy has the money because, that's a very important part of, the transaction. So it just so happened that the guy had Chase. So when we went to the bank, or when we went to go meet up with the guy, like he was able to pull the money out right there. So we're sitting in the car and we're waiting, and then I get a text saying that the dude is coming. And I'm like, all right, cool. So this fool, this fool, he gets into the car and he has a fucking fanny pack right then. And not only does he have a fanny pack, he has a fanny pack that has all these like words on it and little like fucking tagging crews or whatever the fuck it was. I don't remember. I just remember it was just like I just remember. So we're in the car and like we're like I'm like asking him, or I see like I was the person to link these people up. Okay, I didn't really have anything more to do with it than that. So when the guy gets in the car, he's in the back seat. I'm in the shotgun seat. Driver's in the driver's seat. This guy was sitting behind me, so sitting behind the shotgun seat. And when he busts out two baby bottles, two 8-ounce baby bottles. And for those of you who don't know, that is not a fucking pint. A pint is one bottle with 16 ounces in it. But instead, this fool had two baby bottles that were 8 ounces, and they did not look, they weren't purple, they weren't red. Like, there was no, like, it was just obvious that, like, that shit was fugazi. And, like, you know, we both called him out on it. Like I remember, like he passed it up front, and then like he passed it up front, and then the guy told me to check it out, and then I checked it out, and I was like, I just gave it one smell, and I was like, nah. I was like, nah, this shit ain't it. Like this shit ain't it. So I go to pass the bottles back to the guy, and I'm and like trying to say like, yo, like this isn't legit, like this is not what it was, and no sooner do I say that this guy pulls out a fucking gun out of his waistband, and he fucking does that with the gun, and then he just says, I'm gonna need all of that. He just says it like that. I'm gonna need all of that. And the dude had like, I don't know, a couple $100 on him. And he gives him like $100, like, cause he's like, like, I'm sorry for wasting your time, blah 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 blah. And like he tells him like, here's still $100, like, here you go. And then he's like, nah, like, I need all of that, all of it. And he clocked the gun again, or he racked the gun again, and it was just like, all of a sudden things just fucking turned upside down, you know what I'm saying? And like I I like, if it was me, like nobody's gonna fucking shoot you over $400, $500. Like I would have called the bluff. I would have been like, all right, shoot me over $500. Let's see how that works out for you. But unfortunately, the person that I was with, he was a little bitch, and he decided to give him all of his fucking money. So that's more on him than me. Like I had no idea. Like in a way, I got kind of set up too, because this fool that I trusted sent me to some fool that ended up being like not even a plug, not even a connect. He was a jack boy. Like that's really what it was. So he's handing over the money like kind of like behind him or whatever, and like the whole time the gun is fucking pointed. It's pointed at my head. It's pointed at me. I'm like, I don't even understand why the gun is pointed at me, because like I get that I was the one to, like, if anything, this fool should have been fucking thanking me for bringing him some money. Shit. Like, I didn't know this guy. He wasn't my best friend I knew from fucking grade school or something like that. But that's what he decided to do. You know? He probably could have got, I mean, I'll get into it at a different time. But there's always those people that they're willing to take, instead of the slow hustle where every so often you're making money, which will double, triple, quadruple the amount of money you would make by being a jack boy and just being like, give me that, because then nobody ever wants to fuck with you ever again. So, anyways, this fool, like, he gets all the money. Like, he really does. He gets all the money. He puts the gun back in his little waistband or whatever, and he gets out of the car, and he, like, turns around, or he just walks away. Just walks away, just casual as can be. Doesn't run, doesn't do anything, just walks away. And that created a definitely an intense, or not intense, but it created a situation in the car where now all of a sudden the guy that from Instagram thinks that I set him up. And I'm trying to tell him, like, dude, like, I did not set you up. Like, I don't do that. Like, I don't get down like that. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I had to convince him, and he probably didn't believe me, whatever. But, like, he was, like, really, really, really convinced that I set him up. He's from out of state. Like, he just thought that, like, I had it all going on, when in reality, I was trying to help the guy out. I was trying to hook him up. I didn't even care if I got anything out of it or not. Like, honestly. Like, I wasn't going to make any money. Like, really. I wasn't even going to make $1 off of that shit. Literally. So, that guy leaves. We're in the car. And where we drove from where he picked me up at my house is two different parts of the city that are like fucking completely on the other side of each other. And you know what this guy does? I mean, I can't really blame him, I guess. But this fool fucking tells me to get out of the car, and he just burns out and takes off and like leaves me there. And I mean, if I was gonna walk home from the spot that he ditched me at, that shit would have taken me at least 2 hours. You know what I mean? Like, it really would have taken me like some time. So, like, that's the way that it went down. And like, obviously I learned a lesson from that, of just like furthering the fact that you can't fucking trust anybody. And all that time has done since then has proved that point again and again and again and again and again when it comes to my life. I'm not trying to complain, but That's just the way that shit goes. However, I did make it right, even though I had nothing to fucking do with it, didn't know what was gonna happen. Like, that dude, like, I had no idea that was gonna happen. But I was still able to pay that full, like, even though I didn't have to, and a lot of people were telling me not to, and shit like that. Like, I'm just not that type of a person. So I paid him back in, like, not all of it, but, like, I shot him a couple $100, and like that seemed to, he was staring at like an Airbnb or something like that. I don't know, but like that amount of money like seemed to like, oh, and also my phone was broken at the time, so it was really hard for me to like get a hold, like I couldn't even get on my phone to get on Instagram to try to talk to this guy and try to figure things out. So that made it even more sketchy that it looked like I had something to do with it, which I didn't. Like, if I had something to do with it, I would say so. I would be like, yeah, I set that fool up and he got jacked, and like, I probably would have got fucking half the proceeds from it, you know what I'm saying? But like, that's not me. I'm not a thief. Like, I may be a lot of things, but I'm not a fucking thief. So I made it right, to the point where, the guy, I wasn't afraid of this guy. This guy was like a skinny, like, Indian guy. Like, I really was not intimidated by him or anything, but I felt bad. I really did feel bad. So I did pay him back, like, I don't know, like $200 or something like that. And that seemed to be good enough for him. So I ended up having to call someone. Thank God I was able to call someone to pick me up and get a ride, because if I had to walk, I swear to God, it would have taken me between 2 and 3 hours. I don't mean to be jumping around from 1 to 2 to 3, but like, I was very far. Like, literally, I was in South Redondo and I needed to go to North Redondo. Like, it's just like very opposite ends of the spectrum. So that guy leaves, he burns out and takes off. I'm stuck there standing with my tail between my legs, not completely sure what the fuck just happened. And like, I I remember having to go to the Apple store in Manhattan Beach and get my phone fixed. And once I was able to get my phone fixed, I was able to get in contact with people. And like I said, I made it right. Like, to the point where, like, I wasn't scared. This guy picked me up from my house. Like, he knew where I lived. Like, I gave him my full address and everything. But I really was not intimidated or scared. So, you know. Anyways, that is the story about getting robbed at gunpoint. And I don't really have, like, that was one of the few times that happened. I don't want to say that that's the only time it happened, because there's definitely been some more times. But as far as this story is concerned, that's how it went down. So the lesson from this is, don't do business with people that you do not know. On both sides. That makes it even worse. If you know at least someone on one side, then you might be okay. But if don't know either party and you're just in the middle, like, I've had other situations where I've known both parties and it still ended up going to shit. Like, it still ended up dude throwing a surfboard through a window, fucking, like, all this type of shit. So, like, I'm not a bad guy. I try to have good intentions, but sometimes even the best intentions can end up with the worst results. So, hopefully someone was able to learn something here. I definitely did. I'd tell you that much. So, yeah, hopefully you guys have a good week, and I'm gonna keep doing that content. So you guys have a good one. Peace.